We're good now.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about grinders, jars, and pollen presses. As always, my name is BJ. If you have any questions, feel free to chime in during the video. That's not a problem. And then, of course, this will be posted up online later. Feel free, if you're watching this on YouTube right now and you've got a question, just post that in the comments below. We'll get back to you as fast as that we can. So today we're going to talk about grinders. We'll start with that. We have several different styles of grinders that we carry here at Elevate Distribution in 7th floor. We have them as huge as a party size all the way down to a two-piece. And so really what I'd like to do is kind of go through all the different styles that we have, and then we'll go from there. And so really some of the biggest differences that we have is powder-coated versus the anodized. And if we look at this guy here, this is an anodized grinder here. You can notice that it's got a real glossy finish to it. It's real shiny. And then if I compare that to one that's been powder coated, you see the powder coated has a real matte finish. It's definitely not as glossy once I shine it in the light here, but it's got a nice texture to it. It feels really good in your hand. Has a real good feel to it. So that's the difference between the powder coated and the anodized.
Do we want to talk about what anodizing is and powder coating is? So
sure. Yeah.
Do you know?
I don't.
Okay.
Actually. Yeah.
So what anodizing is it's actually an oxidation process, and they put it in a bath and they apply lots of voltage of electricity to it. I'm going to say roughly like 10,000 volts.
Wow.
And then what it does is it actually, there's a chemical in there, an oxidizing agent, and as you put that in there and put the electricity to it, it causes the oxidizing agent to harden and form to the aluminum, which technically is just the aluminum oxidizing basically. And with different different tints, you can get different colors in the oxidation process.
You'll notice that the teeth on the inside of this is green, so the entire thing gets oxidized, versus on a powder-coated guy, the inside, of course, does not get powder-coated.
But we do anodize all grinders. The anodization also helps the powder coating adhere to the metal. So when the oxidation happens, or it is called anodizing, the thickness is probably that about 1/100th of a human hair. So it's only about anywhere from 2 to 10 molecules thick. Not very thick, but it does cause it to be super, super tough. As aluminum is a soft metal, it makes it much, much harder. And then powder coating, that's another process. So after it's anodized, they take it and then you got to do a lot of work to it to wrap it up, and so the powder coating doesn't adhere to certain spots. But what it is, it's basically a really hard plastic, and that gets melted onto it. So how they do that is they, again, done with electricity, they negatively charge the metal piece, and then they positively charge the powder. And then they spray it, and the negative particles adhere to the the positively charged metal. And then once it's powder coated like that, they take it and they bake it at about 400 degrees, and it causes the powder to actually melt and adhere really, really durably to the aluminum. So your fridges, a lot of different things are powder coated. When something needs to be coated, durably, it's done with a powder. So
it's got a real durable finish on the outside. And then, of course, that allows us to do many, many different colors, and they look just absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
really good looking.
We're the only ones that do that in the industry, and we were the first ones in the industry to color anodized grinders about 12 years ago.
So that's the difference between the powder coating and the anodizing. Each one of our grinders is going to come with a cool polyester/hemp bag that we put all in, and these, of course, are our bags. As you see, it's got our logo on the inside there. And then, so like for this party guy, you always got to have like a nice travel case to carry it with. So they all come with that. Another cool fact about our grinders is that none of them ever go out without having a logo on the top. We don't ever send out a blank one ever. And the reason that is we have plenty of customers who love to do private labeling, so they'll put their own logos on there. You can do anything except for anything that's copywritten. So you won't be able to do anything copywritten. So we can't just put Star Wars on there for you, but we can put the shop's logo on there. A lot of folks are taking advantage of tourist traps around the United States, and so when you travel to a tourist trap, if you got a grinder that's got the logo of it right there, a lot of times that does really well. And we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah, go ahead.
In the future, we won't be doing any SSVs in there. That's from 12 years ago, how the company started. All of our grinders will be morphing to the word Elevate on there, just because we find it's a better branding thing for more things, as the SSV is a vaporizer.
So anything that has an SSV on it, or it has that Elevate, it definitely came from us. It came out of our warehouse, and you can guarantee that it's good product. We're the only ones that have these grinders. It's not like we buy them, secondhand. That we're the only ones that have these. So if you see these grinders out on the streets, they came from here. So that's a good thing to know. So we talked about different types and styles. We talked about customizing a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about pricing. When this breaks down, we have anywhere from a 4-inch. What's that?
Do you want to talk about the removable screen?
Oh, we can do that. Yeah, we can talk about that too. So let's break down the grinder here. So on the inside here, we've got these teeth. Our teeth come with a lifetime warranty on them. Should you ever break off a teeth, or a customer ever breaks off one of these shredding teeth, we'll replace the grinder for you. And that's kind of a lifetime warranty on the teeth. Now, of course, in the second chamber, I'm just using the big party grinder right now so everybody can see. But of course, we've got our second chamber that all the flour is going to fall into. And then, of course, it's got a really nice screen on there. And then once you get back down and where your pollen catches, down here on the bottom, you'll see that our screens are removable just with this simple ring on the inside there. And to take that ring out, all you really need to do, my favorite way to do it is just a pair of needle nose pliers into the 2 holes. And just give it a little bit of a pinch, pull it out, and then you can replace that grinder. It's also, many people probably don't know, but if you could just run your grinder through an alcohol bath, a lot of times that cleans it up too. I did mine the other day and it looks brand new.
Another thing about these is each piece of this is actually CNC machined from airplane billet aluminum.
Airplane billet aluminum. That sounds really cool. So make sure you try to use that with your customers. Airplane billet aluminum, CNC machine. So that's a machine that basically cuts all of these out and plots them with a computer. It's pretty awesome. And then we've got several different styles, so I'll try to run down the gambit here. We've got the 4-inch party guy, we've got a 3-inch, and then when I'm saying a four piece, when I say a 3-inch 4-piece, that means this is 3 inches across here, essentially. 4 pieces meaning that I've got 4 pieces that go to this grinder. And I know that you guys can't see that, but 4 pieces.
Now that you got that out, I'd like to show the inside of this as well. That's one thing that we've done with our grinders, is this bevel right here. It's nice and curved, and that allows you to scoop your stuff out nice and seamlessly. Some of our competitors are squared off and just not as machined as beautifully.
Yeah, and it makes it a little bit harder, so this is definitely nicer to get the product up out of there and then into it. So, but back to what we were talking about, this is a 3-inch 4-piece. So everything I'm showing you right now is a 4-piece. So I've got a 4-inch 4-piece, 3-inch 4-piece, 2-inch 4-piece, and then a 1.75 4-piece, right? And then when we get down to the 2-piece grinders, 2-piece grinders, of course, just 2-piece. It doesn't have a second chamber for the herb to fall into, but these are still awesome for on the go. You're going camping or something like that. These are really sweet and very affordable too. I mean, the 2-inch 2-piece costs $10. $10 with your logo on it. That's not bad at all. And then of course we've got them powder coated too, so that goes down to there. And then when we break it down on pricing, so like a 4-inch 4-piece, that's this guy here. This is $47.50 wholesale price. And you want to try to get that in the store at about a $90 price tag. That's our most expensive grinder. Now I don't know if you could tell the sizing on this. This thing is huge, 4-inch. And then when you go down to the 3-inch, a lot of folks like this. If you ever own this grinder, you'll never own another one again. This is most everybody's favorite, and then almost everybody goes with about this size. The 3-inch piece here is running $35 for a retail price of $70. And then we've got the 2-inch 4-piece. This is $27.50 with your logo on it for a retail price of $55. And then when we get down to the 1.75 2 inches, or 4 pieces, these are $25 wholesale. Retailed for $50, and that's pretty standard pricing across the board for what you're getting with these. The pricing is extremely fair. From what I've found with competitive grinders that are out on the market, that they don't have anything that we don't already have. Someone will bring up different things that they like, and really that's just a preference, you know what I mean? But as far as actual functionality and usability of the grinder, we are number one, and that's not just an opinion, that's a fact. So I think that breaks down the pricing on the grinders, and then we'll swing back around and kind of recap on the grinders before we're done. But let's move on to the jars.
How about the pollen presses? Because they're
we want to do those next? I got those on the last, but we could do them next.
Yeah, they kind of flow from this CNC metal and everything. Like
so this, Tommy, you know what this is? You know what this is, Tommy? Do you know what this is?
Yes.
What is it?
Yes.
What is it?
That's for the teeth. It's a press. You can put the teeth in there to make your discs.
Exactly. So Tommy's saying it's a pollen press, and so basically, this fancy little guy is for that leftover stuff that you're going to find in the bottom of your grinder. So the easiest way to use this guy is to get to the bottom of your grinder. That's going to be filled with all that nice pollen, and then on the inside of your pollen press here, you're going to see you got these little weights, and that's just
and those are made out of steel. So you can take the whole thing, and when you're doing it, as you're doing this, and you want to heat it up, because the heat is going to help the keef compact more, so you can load it up and then throw it in the oven, about 300 degrees, 200 degrees, and that'll help it up. Or you could use a hot iron or something like that to heat it up.
And so the spacers essentially work like this. So if I'm going to start with quite a bit, I'm going to take my tube, I'm going to take one of the big weights, I'm going to drop it in there, I'm going to take another second one, drop it in there, and then I'm going to load some of my product in there. I'm going to load it right out of the bottom of my keef catcher here, right into my product, and then I'm going to leave out the small guy here, all right, and I'm going to put in the big guy. So what that does now is it's squishing my product in between there. Now I'm going to take this small guy and put it on top, and then I take my cap and I squeeze it together. And so you can imagine what's happening inside of this press is it's condensing everything right inside. And I'm going to turn this and twist this as hard as I can, and what that's doing is just compressing that pollen down into a hard surface, so it'll travel better, it'll smoke longer, it'll be just overall a little bit easier. And so after you do that, best way is like what Steve said, is to get a little bit of heat on it. So as soon as you get it tightened, he said put it in the oven for about 350 for, you said about 20 minutes, is that what you said?
Just so it warms up 200 degrees. You don't need
200
it
degrees.
real hot.
Doesn't need a whole lot of heat. I've heard of putting a blowtorch on it, but be careful with your fingers. But once you've done that, you can add more. Essentially open it back up, and then you take out this top one, which will be, kind of squishing the stuff down.
And for me, how I would do this is I would just dump these out, and I would fill this up with keef first, and then put these on there.
Oh, wow.
And then put them on there. And then when you're done and you push these things through, then all I have to do is undo the other side, lay these on there, and then it'll push that thing through it. And then I'm not stuck in the middle.
I'd never heard that before.
All my keef is stuck on one side.
That makes sense. So just to recap what Steve's saying there, essentially take all of these out, load this up with your pollen as much as you want, then start to add these on the top, and then that way when you're finished, after you've done the heating up process, you've put this cap on here, you've squished your product on the inside, he's saying you can just take off this bottom one now. Oop, they get pretty hard. Take off this bottom one now, and out should pop your product. Ready to go, ready to use.
And you'll probably be missing one of these things because you had put a bunch of stuff in there. So you'll plop this on. After you take this off, you'll plop the other side out and then push it through. You'll have to screw it through.
Takes a little bit of user friendliness to get used to it, but an awesome way to reclaim that stuff in the bottom of your grinder and use it for later. You can make little coins out of it, and they vape really awesomely. I like to take them and just break them off piece by piece and add them to my bowls as I'm vaping, and it works great. And then we've got them, of course, in silver and in purple. We love purple here. And then the pricing on these guys, just to double check my price sheet, we got $15 wholesale for a retail price of $30. And that puts us very competitive with every other press that's out there. And then, of course, ours has our logo. And what a great way, less calls that your customer has to make because they can get it right from us.
And remember, you want to go with something like us because we do have steel inserts rather than plastic ones. If you're using heat and they got plastic, that's not going to be good. And these are also CNC machined and out of airplane grade aluminum billet. and these are also anodized to give that hard coating surface on there.
Hard coating on the outside. So that's awesome. You still with us, Tommy?
I am.
Excellent, excellent. So that takes care of the pollen presses. Let's take care of the jars now. We here at 7th Floor and Elevate have been going through a lot of different jars over the years, and we've got different ones for different features. The most important thing I want you to remember about any of our jars is that they're customizable, and in that you can basically put any label on there that you want. And so I got an example here of one, and this is kind of that what I was talking about, like tourist traps that take advantage of, you know, what's going on. So this is a Lake Tahoe sticker on top of this jar. And so we have a customer who basically takes advantage and puts this Lake Tahoe sticker on just about anything glass. And when folks come through their shop, of course, they're visiting Lake Tahoe and they want to remember their time there. And then they buy a nice little remembrance piece to take home with them. And it works out really, really well. It's kind of a fun thing to do. But this is a tall ground glass jar. But let me walk you through the gambit here. Remember, all of our jars can be private labeled. So I'm going to start at my favorite here at the bottom. So this is a Duff jar. And I don't think we've gone over the Duff jar yet and exactly how it works. I like to think of this guy, like right here, is a little belly button, and then it's got a cap that comes in and out too. We usually have a filter on this guy. Looks like the filter fell out of this one. What the filter does is allows it so that when you're blowing through the top here, none of your product gets out the side. What this is for is ABV, or already been vaped product. Product that has been through a vaporizer, and as you can tell at the bottom there, it's got a nice brown material to it, right? And you're going to save this later to use for lotions or to make brownies. You can make edibles out of the stuff at a later date, but it's universal to fit any wand that's out there. And so I don't have a wand with me right now, but you just take a wand right up to the top here, and then you can blow your product right out. Oh yeah, here's a better looking one. So this is a complete Duff jar here. And why we say complete is you notice that it has what I like to call the belly button filter there. It looks kind of like a Buddha's belly button right there. And so what that does is, so when you're blowing on the top here and all your products going into the jar, it now will not come out the filter. Just won't do it. And a lot of folks at home, if you've been vaporizing for a while, you probably have your own little thing that you've made out of like an old Mountain Dew bottle. Maybe you walk over to the trash. Maybe you walk over to the sink and just blow it out. But this is a much better way to keep that product and use it later should you need to. Let's see here. I don't know what happened. Something happened. Oh, there it goes. That red one, I think.
I can't see.
Are you all right? Yeah, there you are. Cool. So that's the universal Duff jar. Okay.
And that works with all of our vaporizers and pretty much anybody else's vaporizer on the market. So
Any vaporizer.
any vape shop should be carrying these things.
Absolutely. These are $17 wholesale to sell $35 retail for the Duff jar. And then we go into our small colored jars. So I got small colored jars, and then I got large. Oh,
I just
you're all
wanted
right.
to show this piece right there, so it goes any which way.
Yep.
Even 19 millimeter. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Any size, completely universal. And so that's the Duff jar. And so we get into our colored jars. We've got large and small colored jars. Okay. So our large colored jars are $5 wholesale. Small colored jars are $4 wholesale. So 5 and 4. These are also private labelable. I don't know if you can see it on there, but it has, of course, that SSV, beautiful, that goes across it. And then all of our jars, of course, will have one of our stickers on there. But if your customers want to get one of theirs on there, absolutely. That decal fee is only a $50 setup fee, and then $1 per piece of glass that you're going to put it on. So each jar would just cost you an extra $1 to put your logo on. So we started with small, large colored jars.
1 second on these.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one thing about these jars right here, you can leave it in the same spot. Don't change it. So one thing about these jars too is they also help prevent UV light penetrating it. So they're really good to help store your herbs in there. Another benefit of the colored jars is it helps stop UV lighting.
Stops the UV light from getting in and ruining your product before you can get to it. That's pretty cool. And then we move on. We've got some of these clear storage jars that are fun. Kind of maybe even look like a doctor's office type of fun thing.
One other thing to show you differently on these is all our colored ones, this is soft glass, and these are borosilicate glass. So all of these, not only can the clear ones, they're all handmade by our foreign artisan team. So they're all handcrafted, hand ground, And we can also, if you like marbles, we can put marbles on these things to make it a true Elevate hybrid piece. And that's one other thing that I wanted to.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So basically, you can get them labeled up. You can get marbles on them. The options as far as customization goes for these jars is really just endless. Let us know what you're thinking. If you've got an idea, we'd love to hear it. You know, if you've got something that you think is going to work great, we'd love to spread that around. So let's go over some pricing on these jars. The small ground glass jar clear. This is $10.50 wholesale for retail price $21. These ground glass stoppers up on the top are really nice. Really nice. And then this guy here, we're going to go with the, this is a large ground glass jar, and so this is $11.50. And then we move into the tall ground glass jar, like what I was showing that has that private label on there with the Lake Tahoe. Pretty cool. And so then the tall guy, if I give $12.50, wholesale price or retail price $25. And then of course, like I said, one more dollar gets your logo on there or a logo that you think would sell in your shop. So make sure you're telling your folks about that. Those are our jars. Tommy, did we cover everything on the jars? What did we miss? Anything?
No, I think you got everything.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
curious about the grinders though. So you said about engraving. What type of engraving can you do? Like what images can you put on there?
So you can pretty much.
Can you engrave on it?
Yeah, you can pretty much put almost any image on there as long as it's not trademarked or copyrighted. If you own the trademark and copyright, well then of course. But you know, if you call us up and you want a Batman grinder, I'm sorry, we can't do Batman, but we can do other artist renditions, and so that's another way that we've been able to get away with what we're doing. You'd be surprised what's not trademarked out there. We've been able to do a lot of state flag pipes and other glass, you know, decals that just go with the area. This Lake Tahoe decal that we did would go, you know, we could make that work on a grinder if we had to, but of course there's no copyright problems with that. Is that what you were mainly asking about, was like copyright type issues?
One other thing, sorry Tommy, one other thing about the grinders is we can do a lot more detail on an anodized grinder than we can on a powder. I love the powder, but if you go too detailed, the powder will get really small and potentially have small things that can chip off down the road. It doesn't affect anything, especially if you keep your stuff nice and neat at home. But if you're going to be traveling with it, those things can knock off. Both things have pros and cons. I just really love the powder coating because it feels good and it's just nice.
It's got a good robust feel to it, and definitely like it a lot. So that goes for jars, grinders, and pollen presses. I think we covered just about anything. Tommy, is there anything else that you want us to cover?
No, you guys did a great job.
Okay.
That's a lot of information.
Well, seems how it's just us, what do we want to cover next week?
Let's do our pens.
The pens? Okay.
How about let's hold off because we don't have our our other one out.
Yeah,
yet.
we're working on that right at the moment. So let's hold off on that guy.
Let's try our.
Let's go over some of our foreign artisan glass.
Yeah, how about that? Our pipes even that we do.
Oh yeah, let's go over our Elevate Premier pipes.
That's
I
a
like
great
that.
one. Elevate Premier pipes.
We'll bring each and every single one over, go over them.
Absolutely. I think that's a great one, Tommy.
Yeah, me too.
And then, of course, that'll probably conclude today's video. If you're watching it on YouTube right now and we didn't cover something that you've got a question, please pop that in the comments below. We will get back to you as fast as we can. If you want to join us every Monday, right now we're doing these Mondays at 9 o'clock. We'd love to see everybody show up and learn as much as we can about our products. So thanks for joining us. Appreciate your time, Tommy. You have a good day, man.
Bye, y'all.